Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. In this video, I'm going to bring you into chapter 2 in the ACE textbook. And this is the ACE Integrated Fitness Training Model. I want to go over the ABC model with you. And this is part of their new, well, I say new because it's the 6th edition, but it's not that new. It's been a couple of years. But some folks asked me to kind of explain a little bit about the ABC approach. It starts out with, and I'm on page 38, Introduction to the ACE Integrated Fitness Training Model. Now, the IFT model has been, basically the hallmark of the ACE programming design model forever. And they just make some updates. And I think they actually did a pretty good job here with this update and adding this quote ABC approach. I thought it was a pretty good idea and a little bit easier to deal with than their previous edition, a little bit less complicated. Basically, the integrated fitness training model on page 38. And you're going to see it throughout the entire, for the most part, throughout the entire textbook. So you might as well get used to it now and read a little bit more in the textbook itself. Their training model has the 2 training components: resistance training, cardio. And so they have now 3 levels, basically, which simplifies it from their original 5, I think it was 5 levels that they had with the 2. So now it's 3, and you can read through that. And that's the mover method, and that's how they kind of incorporate all of this. And it actually makes sense. You spend a little bit of time in it, but they also have, and this is what I want to talk about in this video, is on page 39. They incorporate what they call the ABC approach. Makes life really simple because they have these 3 things to remember: A, B, and C, right? And it's really simple. And you might want to just write it down a couple of times. Ask, break down, and collaborate. So ask open-ended questions, break down barriers to participate, basically, and then collaborate, or at least this is going to be sort of the planning and implementation and helping and working with your client. So basically, they're using or they're trying to simplify some basic elements of the of of sort of the motivational interviewing world and the psychology world, and trying to simplify it as best they could. I think they did a pretty good job of doing this to allow you, the trainer, to talk to your client and do what ACE basically says is the main goal of the session. And yeah, there's the physical, obviously, but the main goal of the session basically is to want your client to come back to the next session. I think they say that on one of these pages. Okay, so on page 41, here it is. 1, 2, third paragraph. A primary goal of every personal training session should be to have the client wanting to return for the next session. They're not wrong about that whatsoever. And so the ABC approach kind of gives you the ability, or it gives you some ammunition to do that. So ABC. So number 1 is ask open-ended questions. And now they will go through it and explain it to you. This is what's known as the client-centered approach to personal training. Sure, nothing wrong with that. The idea then is every time you are engaged with your client, you should be using in some way, shape, or form these techniques, right? To get to that ultimate goal of having them come back, wanting to train with you, and wanting to spend time with you from a training perspective, listening to you. This is the rapport development part. And so on page 40, they give you these 3 steps. Step 1 involves asking powerful questions. Now, they always say the same thing. And by the way, like every other page, they've got, well, not every other page, but they will always, in every chapter, they will give you this sort of olive green box that says ACE mover method. Don't neglect reading those. They're very helpful. And again, this one on page 39 and 40 is going to explain the ABC approach, which is ask, and they say powerful. And when they say powerful, it means that it gets the attention of the client, and the client wants to engage you in conversation. That's why it's open-ended questions, right? It's not a yes, no. It's basically having the client explain and talk, and then you can pull out and draw out what we call evocation, get them to talk about things to you. And that's supposed to increase their interest level or increase their connection and the rapport that you're developing with them. And so you ask powerful questions to identify what the client hopes to accomplish by working with an exercise professional. Again, this is not going to happen every time you talk to them, but it's the method, it's the approach. So you're asking people open-ended questions. Even if you've been training somebody for a year, you're still asking them open-ended questions when they come in to train and work with you. Okay, that's, again, this is kind of the point. You'll see that throughout the textbook. Any physical activities, open-ended questions are the key to sparking this conversation, or any conversation, by the way. B is step 2, asking questions to discover what potential barriers may get in the way of the client reaching their specific goals. They're going to explain this to you. There are any number of barriers. Some are intrinsic, internal, psychological. Others are actual, like physical, environmental barriers. Right? They don't have a car, or whatever the case is. And they're going to explain to you different ways that you can overcome, or that people overcome, these barriers to exercise. Right? And there are any number of them. If you're an exercise enthusiast, it doesn't matter to you. You'll do push-ups on the floor. You'll do sit-ups and pull-ups, on your door hanger. You'll do anything but you're a rare individual, because the average person ain't like that. So they see things as barriers to exercise, and therefore they won't. Barriers to proper nutrition. And that's what the B basically comes down to. So you ask them questions. What do you need to start doing now to move closer to your goals? Now, they're giving you examples. Please remember, they don't want you to say these exact things. Trust me, you got to use your own words, and does take some practice. What do you need to stop doing those things that are keeping you from reaching your goals? Right? Bring your clothes with you to work in the morning, so that instead of going home and eating and taking a nap at 6 p.m. in the evening, screwing up your sleep cycle, bring your workout gear with you. So instead of going home from work, you go to the gym, right? You meet the trainer after work, and then you can change into your clothes. Bringing food with you, meal prep, all of these things are ways that you can suggest. This is breaking down barriers for individuals to achieve their goals. Step 3 is all about a collaboration, as the client and exercise professional work together, SMART goals, and they'll explain that to you, of course, and establish the steps to take action toward those goals, yada, yada, yada. Throughout the textbook, look for ACE mover method features to learn more about effective strategies. Look, if you're going through the ACE and you're doing sort of drinking the ACE Kool-Aid, right? It's true. Everybody has their different methods. This is their way of doing it. Follow through on it. Read through, because it's really some good information. And you'd be surprised that if you just kind of incorporate some of the wording, right, that they're going to give you, because they're going to give you examples, right, throughout the textbook. It actually could be very helpful for you when you're working with your clients. So that's what I wanted to do on this video, just kind of give you an idea, or sort of the intro, warm up, so to speak, to the ABC approach. It is, or it can be, very helpful, very effective. Give it a shot if you're training folks. And of course, you can always let us know if it does work. And by the way, if the video makes sense to you and you got something from it, write the word understand in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and give us the old like as well. Have a great week. We will see you next week.